Hello everyone, I'm Dorian from Canonicalized. In this video I want to give you a few pointers on how to create this type of chart, which is a small multiple, but as you can notice it has different heights for every row. So let's start with the beginning. First, the data. I got it from the Sony website. It's a report, financial report. I found this on page 3. I copied the data into a text file, cleaned it up a bit, and after that I pasted into Tableau. So here we have the revenue by quarter, and we have a line for each year, one for 2017 and one for 2018. Now I want to break this up by segment, which is the business segment, and have all of these into a trellis chart or a panel chart or a small multiple, however you want to call it. These are the classic calculations. You probably seen this before. We just need to make sure these are computing using the segment. So now we have all the different segments. Let's make this a label so you can see them. So this is financial services, game and network services, and so on. And the next step here, I want to shade between the lines. So I will duplicate the revenue, and the one that will be behind the lines, I want to make it an area chart. So let's create a dual axis and synchronize. Okay, now we're getting closer to what we want, but I have a simple trick. So for 2018 I will use this, a light blue, and for 2017 this orange brownish light. Okay, and I want to reduce the opacity to about 15%. And now you will notice that the intersection of the two areas will become gray. When 2017 is higher, we will have an orange area, and when 2018 is higher, we have a blue area, a light blue area. So now we are very close, but there's one thing that's bugging me, and I mentioned this in the article. All of these rows have the exact same height. You cannot do anything about that. So if I try to decrease the size of the rows, all of them will remain the same. So I want to give them some space to breathe. And for this, I'm using Klaus Schulte's method to get rid of the grid. I'm adapting it a bit because it's a bit different in my case, because all the rows have a different height. So I have a lot of calculations for this here, 6 table calculations, and I won't go into that. If you want to look at them, you can find them in my workbook on Tableau Public. I just want to show you in the broad strokes. So here I have a crosstab with the segment year, with the quarter, the calculated row for the trellis, the revenue, and then I'm using an index to count each row in a particular row. Here I have the index in reverse. I use this to calculate the maximum from this window. So this one should be the maximum from this, which is this one. And then I'm shifting them. So I'm shifting them 24 rows forward. and then I'm creating a running total, and after the running total which I call the zero axis. The zero axis will be pretty much the start of each row in the panel. So the y value is the zero axis to which I'm adding the actual revenue. So here we have the y value, and what you'll notice here is that we don't have the rows, we just have the values, but there's one thing missing, and that is the shading. I think the shading would give us a better indication of what's going on and where the zero axis is. And we cannot do the area trick because the areas start from 0. So we need to become a bit more creative, and for that I'm using polygons. Okay, and here I have 3 more calculations, one for the current year, one for the previous year, and one for the path. So if I show you the lines here, this should be the same values as these ones, only that we are including the zero axis. So let me show you, for example, the current year polygon. So if the current year is the maximum one, then give me the y value, otherwise give me the zero axis. One thing you need to keep in mind here is that this won't work with the discrete measure for the date. It will break up the polygon here. Let me show you how it will look. It will be very funky, so we need to use a continuous scale. Okay, and now let's do the dual axis thing. Let me show the header, synchronize, and let's reduce the opacity so that we can get that nice effect, the gray, and then the specific shading. So these are the broad strokes. As I said, from now on it's mostly formatting, and you can download the workbook from Tableau Public and reverse engineer my calculations. I also recommend reading the blog post that goes along with this, where I explain a bit my thought process behind it and so on. That's it for today. Thanks for listening, and I hope to see you next week.